Today I'm going to read The Relatives Came. This book is by Cynthia Rylant and the illustrations are by Stephen Gammell. It is read with permission from Simon and Schuster. I like this story because of the beautiful illustrations. I like this story because of how it makes me feel inside. And I like this story because of how I feel when I'm reading it to my granddaughter. I hope that you like this story as well, and I hope that you get a chance to visit with some relatives. It was in the summer of the year when the relatives came. They came up from Virginia. They left when their grapes were nearly purple enough to pick, but not quite.
The relatives came up from Virginia.
They had an old station wagon that smelled like a real car. And in it, they put an ice chest full of soda pop and some boxes of crackers and some bologna sandwiches. And up they came from
Virginia.
Yeah. They left at 4 a.m. when it was still dark, before even the
birds were awake.
Yeah. They drove all day long and into the night. And while they traveled along, they looked at the strange houses and the different mountains. And they thought about their almost purple grapes back home. They thought about Virginia, but they thought about us, too, waiting for them. So they drank up all their pop, and they ate up all their crackers, and they traveled up all those miles until finally they pulled into our yard. Then it was hugging time. Talk about hugging. Those relatives just passed us around their car, pulling us against their wrinkled Virginia clothes, crying sometimes. They hugged us for hours. Then it was into the house, and so
much laughing, shiny faces, and hanging in the doorways. We had to go through the different houses to get from the kitchen to the front room. There was relatives.
And finally, after a big supper, 2 or 3 times around until we all got a turn at the table, there was quiet talk, and we were in 2s and 3s through the house. The relatives weren't particular about beds, which was good since there weren't any extras. So a few squeezed in with us, and the rest slept on the floor, some with their arms thrown over the closest person, or some with an arm across one person and a leg across another. It was different going to sleep with all that new breathing in the house. The relatives stayed for weeks and weeks. They helped us tend the garden, and they fixed any broken things they could find. They ate up all our
Strawberries
and
melons
they promised we could eat up all their grapes
and pizzas.
when we came to Virginia. But none of us thought about Virginia much. We were so busy hugging and eating and breathing together. Finally, after a long time, the relatives loaded up their ice chest and headed back to Virginia at 4 a.m. We stood there in our and waved them off in the dark. We watched the relatives disappear down the road, and then we crawled back into our beds that felt too big and too quiet. We fell asleep. And the relatives drove on all day long and into the night, and while they traveled along, they looked at the strange houses and different mountains, and they thought about their dark purple grapes waiting at home in Virginia. But they thought about us too, missing them, and they missed us. And when they were finally home in Virginia, they crawled into their silent, soft beds and dreamed about the
rocks.
That's right. And here are the purple grapes that are waiting for them at home. Let's eat those grapes out. hope you enjoyed this story. I hope you enjoy having time with your relatives, whether you go to see them or they come to see you. I hope that you get some fun times together with family. See you next time.